This is Matt from Blue Tuna Spearfishing, and today we're going over the Mid-Handle series by Andre Spear Guns. So one of my favorite things about this series is the shape. If you look at the vertical profile, it's very narrow. That really becomes super efficient in tracking for fish. You still have a wider body to give you additional mass, limiting recoil and improving accuracy. In the Mid-Handle series, it comes in either 2, 3, 4, or 5 bands. So it does come in open or enclosed track. To give you an idea, you can see the enclosed track here is the black portion that actually comes over the top of the shaft. On a more powerful gun, under a load over a greater distance, but also with more bands, the shaft has a tendency to start to bend upwards. So once it's fired and released, that could affect your accuracy. Typically, we recommend on your more powerful bands, starting with the 145 up to the 175, that you go with enclosed track. If you look at the open track, this is great for shooting fish either close range, like if you're shooting a halibut in the sand, or maybe reaching into structure shooting. The shaft leaves the track instantly. So as soon as I fire, this is out of the track. I could start swimming up. If this were to be trapped in here with an enclosed track, there's just more potential to bend the shaft. If you already have bent the shaft, it's harder to get the shaft back into an enclosed track. These guns are unique piece of art. You can see if they need ballast, there's been these really clean, beautiful cuts where lead's been added and they're sealed back up nicely. So the whole point of having a ballast is to create a gun that is easy to swim with and easy to aim. So when you're diving down, the gun is slightly negative buoyancy, so again, easy to control and maneuver. But once the shaft's been fired and that heavy part is out, the stock will then float. So that way, if you have a fish that's diving down to the reef, you don't have it taking the gun along with it. You have to go back up for air and the stock is coming with you. Mid-handle, you do get the benefits of that tracking and maneuverability. For me, that's key in my response time. So once I've committed to extending the gun, if I want to track a fish, I could fall in sync with their movement, follow their lateral line, and pull the shot fast. Rather than on a rear handle where I have to extend, and if I'm tracking, sometimes the gun has a tendency to fall, outwards if I'm tracking inside. So maneuverability, mid-handle, absolute favorite, key for spots with structure. Definitely a popular gun in California, Florida, or traveling abroad where there's not kelp. People do see the benefit of that mid-handle maneuverability. Side by side here, I have the Mid-Handle 145 next to the Spiro 125. And what you can see is that the muzzle to the handle position is gonna feel the same for both guns. So the maneuverability is similar, but on the 145, you're drawing 25 centimeters additional band pull. Essentially, having a gun that feels like a smaller gun, but draws a lot of power. The smallest in the lineup is your Mid-Handle 110. As you can see, this gun is really compact, so it's great for hunting smaller fish. If you're shooting down into the sand, close range on structure, and just having it close and maneuverable. So to get into spaces on the reef, and you can see here, it's very compact. So a great step up in the series is your 125 mid-handle. This, for me, is an all-around sweet spot gun for California. We oftentimes have limited visibility under 15 feet, but we still might be targeting fish that can be a little bit bigger. For example, sheep's head, oftentimes they'll be the 10-pound plus range, and you might come across some smaller grade sea bass. So going to the 145, this is my absolute favorite model in the lineup. So the second I know it's white sea bass season, this is the gun I'm taking with me. Even when it's relatively limited viz, the gun can be compact when you're holding it upside down, and it's easy to rotate in the hand, pivot, and take a shot. Really quick response time with the mid-handle. You have that fulcrum here that allows you to pivot the gun really quickly. When you get 3 bands and this length, you end up shooting fish more often, say in the 50 pounds, but I've seen 90-pound wahoo taken with it, billfish. So it's really versatile and it's a definite staple in the lineup. So if you're traveling or hunting places with pelagics, this is a key gun. Next up, you have the Mid-Handle 160. So this is the first gun in the series that uses a 5/16 shaft. And now we're using 4 bands to drive that additional weight. This is a key model if you're starting to jump up, shooting smaller grade tuna, really clear water, possibly more often doing yellowtail than sea bass and kelp. It does give you that additional reach and range. If your goal is to hunt big tuna, then go straight to the Cobra 175. This is the first gun in the model and the only gun that has a 3/8 shaft, and now it's powered with 5 bands. Because the additional power, it requires the stock to have more mass. So you can see in the rear posterior, it's wider, it thins out in the middle for easy tracking, and then the muzzle also has a wider body. Overall, this gun is extremely powerful. So if you're thinking about tuna in the 100-pound, all the way up to your cow tuna in the 300-pound class, then the Cobra 175 is definitely the choice. Hopefully that helps you guys pick your next gun in the lineup. See you next time. Happy hunting.